talking about the importance of financial planning. Let's just welcome Ms. Kriti Suri, founder of Women Talk Money. Ms. Suri is a chartered accountant by profession, having gained an experience of 10 plus years in the financial sector working with various national and international banks. The entrepreneurial bug bit her and have recently started her own venture called Women Talk Money. She is a licensed financial advisor helping masses, specifically women, achieve financial freedom. We welcome you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Soumya. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Lloyd's Institute and Dr. Vandana Sethi in particular for giving me an opportunity on this forum to share my views and my success story. I have made a small presentation which I would like to share with you. Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. As you all know that we are celebrating the divinity of womanhood. So I would like to share my success story with all of you. You've given me a great introduction. Just to reiterate, I am Kriti Anand Suri, a chartered accountant by profession, belong to the financial fraternity. Having an experience of 10 plus years working in this sector, working with various national, international banks, managing investments and their portfolios. I come from a family of finance professionals. My father is a practicing certified chartered accountant, having a practice of more than 40 years now. And my husband is also a finance professional. I am an avid reader and like to stay connected with the events in the world of business, particularly investments. As you rightly said, the entrepreneurial bug bit me, and I've recently started my venture called Women Talk Money. So let me give you a brief idea of how this venture was conceptualized. I started this venture in the year 2018. We all know and understand that finance has predominantly been a male-oriented space. So in a country like India, where only 14% of the population actively invest their savings, the stats on women are even more dismal. Surveys suggest that only 33% of the women are able to take their independent investment decisions as against 64% of men. Now, why this is so? This is because they are raised in an environment where they are made to believe that financial matters are complicated and thus a man's domain. Stay out of them. We mainly depend upon the male members of our family, like our fathers or brothers, when it comes to taking investment decisions. However, I am of the strong opinion that women tend to possess certain characteristics which, in a way, predisposes them to become better investors. We'll also take the liberty here to say that women are more disciplined when it comes to saving money than men. They are naturally good at budgeting. The household day-to-day budgeting has always been a woman's responsibility because of the traditional gender-specific rules. Women, right from the beginning, are taught to be more cautious and conservative in their approach so they make better investors and refrain from taking impulsive decisions. Like I always say, women, don't be afraid to take charge of your finances. If you can earn money, you can manage it too. So like every company, we have a vision and a mission for our company. So the vision of our company is basically financial empowerment of women by imparting knowledge and planning so that they can do goal-based planning and ultimately have a complete financial independence of themselves and ensuring the same for their family. What is our mission? We are trying to build a community of women who can talk about money, who can discuss money, and create awareness among their peers. Mission of WTM is to be able to connect to more than 2,500 women in both urban and semi-urban areas through our digital platform and empower them financially. If our busy and actively engaged community of women who talk money is anything to go by, the money will no longer be a man's forte. We strive to reach out to women and also handhold first-time investors, help them identify their life financial goals, plan for fulfillment of those goals through a designed platform. We strive to be rule-based so that our outcomes are predictable and we manage our risks well. Now, there is a methodology. How do we go about it? How do we start our financial journey? So there are several tools available on our platform which cater to all of this. When we did primary research on why women shied away from investing, we realized that one of the key reasons was that entire industry was talking to men and their goals. Finance and investment as a domain continues to be dominated by men, and this is where we wanted to make a difference. A woman's perspective, goals, life stages, they hugely vary from that of a man. Now, coming to the tools on our platform that cater to all of this and ensure that decision making is easier and also well informed. So, our vision is to financially empower women by imparting knowledge and helping them with their goal-based planning to ensure complete independence. We believe that if you educate a girl child, you educate a family. So the mission of my company is to change the mindset of women, to empower them and make them financially independent. Now coming to the methodology is, we have a lot of tools on our website wherein we have to assess the risk profile of the client. Just to give you a brief, there are different kinds of investors. So to categorize, to begin, there are aggressive set of investors who understand the inherent volatility of the market. They are there in the market for long term with a long-term horizon. So they understand that there may be short-term, volatility, but ultimately, if you are there invested in the market for a long term, so they will make good money out of that. So they're categorized as an aggressive category of investors. Then we come to the conservative category. So meaning thereby that they want principal protection of their investment. They don't want to lose money at any cost. They are absolutely risk averse. They may compromise on the earnings from their investment, but they want absolute capital protection of their principal. So they are categorized as conservative investors. For them, maybe investment products like FD and debt markets will be better. A combination of both of them is what is called moderate investors. So depending upon the risk profile, products, the goal setting is done for them and suitable products are suggested. And once your portfolio is constructed so as to mitigate the risk, then periodic reviews are necessary to predict the outcomes and recalibrate both the goals and products if necessary. Corrective action should be taken when the review is done once a year. Now we all believe it's a digital world. Tell me honestly, how many of you or your family members will be going to the banks to do the transactions? We all prefer e-banking, right? So if our banking, social life, and travel can be digitalized, then why not our portfolio? We believe that the central piece of our success is fully enabled digital platform. Digital platform enables anywhere approach to investing. Customers can view their investments anytime and from the comfort of their homes. Though it's fully technology enabled platform, but we haven't taken away our human touch approach to investing. We are constantly in touch with our clients, providing them with inputs on market actions, policy changes that could impact investment decisions. Also, we believe awareness is empowerment. If one is aware of the environment and issues, one can take objective decisions for overall benefit and risk mitigation. We are present on the social media, be it Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, Instagram, and are also a part of several client and financial focused groups. By now, you must be having a lot of questions in your mind as to why do you need to have a financial plan? What is the right age to start investing? How do you start with your financial journey? What's an adequate amount that you may look for retirement, and so on and so forth? Now, ask yourself a question before starting your financial journey. Are you financially fit? By that, I mean it does not make sense to invest money if you have a significant amount of debt and no emergency fund kept aside. It's worth noting that emergency fund should be large enough to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. Like the current times during COVID, many of us have come to know the need for an emergency fund. Current times are a typical example on why having a contingency fund is important. Once you are debt-free and have an adequate emergency corpus, I would say that start investing from the day you start earning. Be regular and disciplined in your investing approach. There are 3 golden rules. Always remember in life. Start early, be regular, and be disciplined in your investment journey. So anyone starting a financial journey, a new job, a new venture, or anything that earns you money, you must plan or you must plan to save and invest for your future needs. These are the 3 common rules that I mentioned. Start early, be regular, and be disciplined. This might not be a comprehensive list, but it's certainly an important one. Have a financial plan for yourself. Periodically review your needs, goals with your objectives. Be rules-based instead of emotions for a better outcome. I've told you about the golden rules. Now coming to the golden principle. What is that golden principle? It's the magical word compounding. Now, what is compounding? Compounding is simple, but a very powerful concept. It's a process where the interest earned on the principal amount is reinvested so that the interest also starts earning for you. 2 things are required for compounding to work. It's reinvestment of interest and time. So what are you doing? This compounding is automated. Thus, you are effectively transforming your investments into income. Income generating asset where your money is working for you to generate wealth. Now, you must have heard about the different kind of investments that we can do in the stock market. Through the mutual fund route, you can either invest in equity or debt. Compounding always works in equity markets. Equity has been the preferred mode of creating wealth over longer time due to the magic of compounding. Now, investments can be done by 2 different modes. There can be 2 different modes of investment in mutual funds. Either you can invest a lump sum amount or through an SIP, which is also known as the systematic investment plan. Now, in SIP, I'm sure you understand what lump sum is. You invest your entire money at one go, whereas SIP is more of a disciplined mode of investment, where you invest a certain amount at a fixed frequency. It's the best way to inculcate discipline in your financial journey. I've spoken about financial plan. So what's a financial plan? In simple words, it's something that matches your financial needs to your financial resources. If we do have a financial plan in place, it will always state our financial needs at different point of time as life progresses on. Our goals may be as simple as planning for a vacation abroad, marriage, kids' education, and a common goal for all of us, that is retirement. Always have a clear-cut financial goal for each milestone of your life, which should factor inflation too. The importance of goal-based planning is that it not only gives you a good investment strategy, but also a direction to achieving your dreams. And in the process, making your future stress-free, which is all what we want. Once your financial plan is in place, you must periodically review your needs and goals to identify changes and take corrective action if required. It's always better to be rule-based than follow your emotions in your financial investment journey. Once we are done with our financial plan, making a plan is not enough. Keeping tabs on your portfolio is an important part of investing. For example, you have invested in different classes of assets over a period of time to spread your risks. Market conditions like the current times, some investments will not do well. So we need to conduct periodic reviews and rebalance our portfolio as required. Rebalancing ensures that your portfolio does not become overly dependent on either the success or failure of one asset class at any given time. This should be done at least one every year to see that your products, your investment strategy is in sync with your objectives. This is a topic that is least talked about. Prepare a will. A lot of us feel that talking about making a will is pretty morbid. People are not comfortable discussing about making will in India. Let me tell you that will is so important and that it should be a part of your financial plan, irrespective of what your marital status, your net worth, your age is. It is always advisable to have a will. Making a will is very, very simple. Anyone above the age of 21 years can make a will on a plain piece of paper in India. It's not necessary to make a will on a stamp paper. Always advisable to make your will in your own handwriting, as the same can be verified later in case of any doubts raised by the relatives. Now for the students out there, most of you must have finalized your career streams by now. Just to let you know that the financial advisory industry is expected to grow exponentially in the coming 10 years. So it can be a great career option, even if you want to start, even if you want to become an entrepreneur or join any reputed organization. Here are some of the options that a CFA can look forward to. Certified Financial Analyst, it's a certification. As a certification is a gateway to multiple career options. You can become a portfolio manager, a risk manager, research analyst, financial advisor, financial and tax consultant, an accountant, an auditor, investment banker, and a corporate financial analyst. Lot of options available for you. I hope the session was insightful for all of you, and hoping that you all will start your financial journey soon. For any queries, you can mail it support@womentalkmoney.in or call on WhatsApp on the numbers given on your screen that you are viewing on your screen. I'm there to answer any of the queries that you might have.
Wonderful session, Kriti, very insightful. I'm sure not only the students, but everybody listening to this webinar would have got at least some introduction to where to begin. So as they say that money is not everything, and we keep listening to this, but money is something very important. And we need financial security for a lot of reasons, for for ourselves, for our kids, for parents, for education, for adventure, and even for fun, and for everything in life. But financial planning is a process which not everybody follows. In fact, not only in India, but everywhere around the globe, and more so when we read about America and the larger continents, the planning is not very properly done. But as of what we have heard is that financial planning provides us a framework for achieving the life's goals in a more smoother manner, and in a more systematic, a more planned manner, and it avoids the shocks and the surprises also.
True.
And managing one's money necessarily need not be very boring. And you as a chartered accountant can, really tell us more about it. Obviously, it's not rocket science also. And just that, and also we needn't be from a financial background to save our money. All we need is a bit of commitment and a lot of discipline, like you said, from the moment we start earning. And in fact, deciding to save is the first step to financial management, when we take the decision. So, Kriti, if you could just tell us, all of us here, how easy or how difficult it is for you as a financial advisor to convince people to save money. Like the entire presentation, you reinforce that fact, but sometimes it gets difficult with people that we don't need savings or we have no dependents, and I'm still young and I have no liabilities. But then how difficult it is for you?
Right, Vandana, you've touched upon the right question. In my journey that I've started, this venture I have started, I would say that it is not tough to convince people to save, but the urge, the priority plan is not there. People just take a very lackadaisical approach to, when they have money lying in their account, they say that, they're spending money and whatever is left at the end of the month after meeting your monthly expenditure is either lying in your savings account, it's not put to use, or it is just lying in the house only. I mean, with you. So it is not difficult to convince people to save, but it is very difficult to convince them to put this money to use, to invest this money in the variety of products available, basis your risk appetite. So I would rather say that everybody needs to plan ahead of their salary dates. That when if the salaries are credited in your accounts, you make a budget. You should know that how much amount you need, how much you will save at the end of the month, and put it to use. Put it in the right product, whatever according to you feel is your suitability. So for me, saving and investing is not a priority for many of us, and that mindset needs to change. I would urge everybody to have a budget well before the salary date, so that you know where you're investing this money before your salary is credited to your account.
And a budget irrespective of how much bigger or how much smaller the package is.
Yes. So budgeting should be a part of your monthly routine. And I would urge that, especially for the students, you make it a habit right from the day go. It should be inculcated as a part of your financial routine, even before you're starting to earn money. So make a budget for yourself, whether you are a child of 15 years, or maybe you're starting to earn money, irrespective of the age bracket you are in.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But, sometimes people just consider saving as putting money in the bank. or having a lot of liquidity when they see their bank statements. Okay, I've got this much money, so I don't need more for the next 1 year or 2 years, or probably that a person is getting married. Yeah.
So Vandana, I would say that people are not aware of the different, investment products that are available. So now coming to the fact that most of us, whatever savings we have, we put that money in fixed deposits with banks, considering that it's a very, very safe investment. You put it for an year, depending upon the time horizon, you put it for 1 year or 2 years. So, but people need to understand that FD is never going to give you inflation adjusted returns. You book an FD for 5 years, it's giving you a 7% rate of interest now. So even in the fifth year, you continue to earn the same amount of interest, irrespective that the inflation every year is increasing at 5%. So a product like FD will never give you inflation adjusted returns, whereas an equity product or maybe a debt product can offer you better returns. So that awareness should be there about the products. And then depending on your risk appetite, you can invest in the, whatever is best suitable for you.
That's right. But then, the word risk also people are not very comfortable with, especially people from a non-finance background consider risk as something negative.
Yeah.
So what do you suggest, that considering having a risk is more important, or having a saving which is risk proof is more important? Because sometimes it is said that not taking a risk is the biggest risk. And in fact, there is a web series coming on TV these days with the, featured on Harshad Mehta. I don't know how many of us.
Scam 1992.
Yeah. So that's what they say there also, that the first step he also took, though we should not be taking that negative example, is that risk is the first step to it. And they say that isk hai to risk hai. But many people are not comfortable with the word risk, especially when it comes to their hard-earned money.
Absolutely, yes.
So other than bank accounts, what could be risk-proof investment?
See, there's no denial on the fact that stock markets are risky. And for that reason, we do a risk profile assessment of the client before beginning their financial journey. So like I told you in my presentation also, that there are three kind of investors. So if you belong to the conservative category of investors, where you want that I am okay to compromise on the return, I'm good with a decent return of around 6.5% pre-tax, but I don't want my principal to be subjected to any kind of volatility. So for that, for those kind of investors, I would say FDs, or maybe schemes like national savings schemes, or precisely if you can take a little bit of risk, then even the debt investments. Debt investments are more like FDs. So there is less risk on the principal component, but the returns are also comparatively lower. So if you invest in a debt product, you should expect a reasonable return of around 6 to 8%. But then debt always remains more tax efficient as compared to FDs. So people may look at alternately to put some money in debt investments rather than FDs. And in debt investments also, there are many further products. So where you enjoy complete liquidity, there are liquid funds wherein you put the money for 1 day, 2 days, and then you can take out without any exit load. So for example, I was telling that once your salary comes, so that, you don't need the salary for maybe the 10 days or 12 days. So you can even put that money for that shorter span in that liquid fund and earn some money out of it. So that's the kind of awareness that needs to be, shared among people so that they know what are the avenues available.
So that means that we always need advice of a specialist to do so, because a layman would not understand where and when to invest in a more risk-free manner.
Yes, it's absolutely advisable to have a financial planner, because it's everybody's an expert in their own domain. So if you are doing your job well, let the expertise take care of your finances and manage it better for you.
I think that's absolutely right. Yeah. And but is that also true, that higher the risks, higher the returns?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So, in case, see, for people who are starting their financial journey, who are in their, 25 and 30, and they've just, started with their career spans and all that. So for them, the investment journey is longer. The span is longer. So they can take little bit of risk in the equity market. So I would suggest people in those age bracket to be starting their financial journey through an SIP mode in the equity funds, so that they're able to create wealth over a period of time. But people, senior citizens, like people, who are almost at the close of their career. So for them, debt investments are more suitable, or probably a blend of both of them, depending upon their, financial situations and their risk profiles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Also, Preeti, of this talk on saving through mutual funds and through SIPs and risk and all, I mean, everybody of us will relate to our moms and our, grandmoms and our aunties who used to save in the way of, the traditional way of saving from the monthly expenditure. So the
Yes.
money that they used to get from their spouses for earning, or what in fact they used to earn also. So from that they used to save little by little some cash, in their own kitchen dabbas, which could be anywhere. And in fact, most of it was unearthed also during the demonetization time. Females coming
Yes.
out with their own kitty bags, even with lakhs of money. So, do you also advise on that method of saving that women have, and they've had? In fact, Indian women have had that practice since like a really long time, and mothers, I'm sure, still believe in that. So, do you
Ab-
advise that?
Absolutely. This is a definite yes from my side. And, that's why I said in my presentation that women are naturally good at saving, because, that's what they have been taught, and they've seen their mothers doing it. So our grandmothers have been always telling, the day you get married, they say, "Apna paisa bacha ke rakhna. Thoda sa apne liye zarur rakhna for the rainy day."
Mhm.
So it's a wonderful piece of advice from our grandmothers, and would uh, advise and suggest my friends to continue doing the same. So always have your piggy bank as a reserve for you.
I think that's good news for a lot of females,
Yes.
to save from that. And so every bag they have, every kind of saving dabba that they have will always be filled with money from now on. Then
Yeah.
definitely. Also, Kriti, something that we always hear, and you also said it during your presentation, that the earlier we start, the better it is.
Yes.
And from the day we start earning is the day of start investing as well.
True.
Investing, or at least saving, from that day onwards. So what is that one tip that you will tell to the young earners, just started, who are between 23 to 27, 28 years of age? Because most of our college students are going to start this journey maybe this year or next year. So what is that one tip, that they keep the money in the bank, or where do they start investing from day one?
See, irrespective of where you're going to be deploying that amount, I would just, my piece of advice for all the people who are starting with their jobs is to start your financial journey the day you start earning. Don't wait for the right time. The three golden rules that I spoke about: start early, be regular, and disciplined in your investing approach. You need to take your life insurance policies, your health insurance policies early in the years when you start earning, because you need to shell out a very low amount of premiums when you're young. The later you realize and take it in your life, you need to shell out a higher amount. So, depending upon your risk profile, you need to start deploying that money. If you are absolutely risk averse, start with an FD. Start with a fixed deposit. Don't let the money lie idle in your savings account. That's my piece of advice for all the young, earners. So put
Something
your
like a
money.
recurring fixed deposit where they can deposit a little amount every
Yeah,
month.
recurring deposit is good because you don't need a big corpus to start that. So
Uh-huh.
even with 1,000 rupees, you can start an RD. So
Mhm.
that's, you must start your financial journey irrespective whether you are confident enough to start investing in equity markets or in debt markets, but start your
Right.
investment journey. That's my piece of advice.
And how good are LICs and all, like you mentioned? How good are those?
See, I am not in favor of the traditional LIC policies because, if you calculate the rate of return that they offer, right,
Mm-hmm.
they're somewhere in the range of around 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the LIC policies are missold actually. You need to keep your investment and insurance absolutely separate. Insurance is basically a risk cover for your age, right? Whereas investment, you want to protect your family in the long term, you
Mm-hmm.
want to compound, you want to make wealth for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is always advisable to take a term cover to provide for your family in case there's any, God forbid, if there's any kind of an exigency in your life. And investment should be done with a different purpose. So don't mix the two. Life insurance products are missold as, offering a life cover also, and plus, earning some minimal return on your investments. So please keep it separate.
Right, right. I think that's understood. Kriti, it's been really wonderful listening to you. And I think with your talk, many students, we have a lot of students who are studying their finance also. So how do you think they can plan your career in something like financial advisor thing or a financial planner? How lucrative it is, what are the options available? How they can see their career in finance from now onwards.
See, I think it's a great career opportunity. So, like a person like me who wanted to become an entrepreneur, I have had my own set of my, working years with, prestigious organizations. But there comes a time in your life where you want to work for yourself. You want to do what you want. So, I think it's a great opportunity for people who want to become an entrepreneur, right? And like I told you in my presentation also, that employment of financial analysts and financial advisors is expected to grow exponentially in the next 10 years. A lot of senior citizens, in fact, from ranging from the younger people to the senior citizens, everybody needs financial advice, how to manage their money, how well they can put their money to use so that they can maximize the return. So I think it's a good profession. It's absolutely a good profession.
Yeah, but then, immediately after their management years, they cannot definitely start their own, venture.
Yeah.
But any advice on, what kind of firms can hire them? And other than the banking and insurance, where else can they find a job after studying their finance?
See, there are a lot of prestigious institutions who are hiring financial analysts. So they can look up for a job there. There are various courses available. A lot of universities are going for campus placements there. So all reputed financial organizations like, you said McKinsey, Deloitte, they all require financial analysts.
Right, right.
So
So
it's a great.
other than the traditional, finance options which existed, since we also have a course on data analytics here, and we
Okay.
teach a bit of financial analytics as well. So this is one option which you also recommend to these consultancies, and Deloitte's and McKinsey's hire big time financial analysts.
Analyst, yeah.
So, Kriti, one last question, and this is a very important one because we have been talking about women empowerment during the entire Navratri this time, and a lot of women have interacted with us about the social presence of women, about the corporate presence of women, the future of how women are going to be, how the past has been, how difficult it was to climb up the ladder, and how difficult it is to find a place in the family and the society. Now, especially in finance, though, I reiterate that Lakshmi is the goddess of finance, but irrespective of that, women still are not very much present in the finance, in the corporate field. It is an industry which is mainly dominated by men, especially, I mean, I can see that you're a chartered accountant, but majority of the chartered accountants passing out every year are men. And in the finance field also. So how difficult has it been to find a place, to make a place for yourself in this industry, which is mainly, predominated by men? And then how do you think other women listening to this can be empowered in this industry?
See, honestly speaking, I have a different viewpoint here. I haven't faced any challenges in this male dominated sector, which we precisely say. It's because I've always found and believed that if you're good at your job and you're approachable and you can work, then you can work well with both men and women, irrespective of the gender, parity. So, main thing I have found challenging is basically the ability to put myself forward. As women strive to achieve perfection more than men, it's inherent in them. So you don't want to take up a thing unless and until you think you have, kind of achieved perfection in it. So that is one challenge that I've faced myself, which sometimes, results in insecurities that we don't know enough yet. And I want to, strive further. So I'm still striving to achieve perfection in my venture. So that's the only challenge that I have faced, and it's nothing to do with the male dominated sector and stuff. So I hope to do it soon.
Very, very well said, Kriti, and so wonderfully put. And will you believe that is a fact that every woman achiever we are having on the forum is telling that if you have substance within you, if you have the skill, the knowledge, the focus, and you're confident about what you're doing, then there is no male female thing. Nobody can put
Absolutely.
you down, and you just move on just like any other human being. So
Absolutely.
you don't need to be empowered. You are an empowered
We are already
person.
empowered.
Definitely, and such a wonderful thought. Soumya, it's over to you. If students have any questions, we also have Kriti's corporate partner with us. So
Yeah.
if Kriti
So-
or him, anybody would be ready to give the answers.
Yeah, I would like to introduce my partner, Mr. Shishir Saxena. He's helping me out in my venture. So he's basically an alumni of IIT Roorkee, and he has a 30 plus years experience of working with many prestigious organizations. And currently he's managing his own investments and helping me too in my venture. So, the house is open for any questions that you may need to ask either me or him. We are both there to answer your queries.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful session. So, ma'am,
you.
in your presentation, you were focusing upon that we should start early, we should be regular, we should be disciplined. So there's a question in the chat box which student wants to ask that what should be the saving and expenditure percentage? Is there any defined rule for it?
See, there is no defined numbers that I would give you, but personally, I would say because in the initial stages of your career, you don't have any other obligations from the family side. So the percentage wise, the allocation should be, you should spend 70% and save minimum 30% of your income.
But ma'am, maximum number of times when we ask people to save, so they come up with this thing कि हमारी तो income इतनी कम है that we cannot save, our expenditures are more than our income. Then how should we influence those people to save?
See, that is what I told in my presentation also, that always make a budget, because when you have the numbers in front of you, right, it's easier to calibrate that how much do you need to meet your expenses, your monthly expenses, and how can you save. Because if you don't put it out anywhere, then the entire money goes off. So once the numbers are in front of you, there is a conscious effort to save, then you'll be able to save some amount. So there,
Right.
the conscious effort has to be there.
Right. So first we have to create the budget and then we should start with it.
Yes, always.
Ma'am, next question is, how often should we update our financial plans?
See, ideally what I said, it's twice a year. So, when you're starting your financial journey, your plans can be as simple as, you're planning to buy a iPhone 11, right? That can be a goal for you. So you do a planning backwards, that how much do you need to save every month to achieve your goal by in a year's time, right? So, but if your objectives change, probably you say, I don't need to spend that much of an iPhone 11. So maybe then you need to recalibrate your savings, and you need to understand that whether you need it for an year or probably, your goal is further 2 years away. So that depends. When your goals change, then you need to do a rebalancing.
Right. Ma'am, is it that all these investments are tax-free or we have to pay tax?
Yeah, see, all these investments, so there's a mix of products. So like for all the investments are taxable, let me tell you, apart from the LIC policies. The insurance is not taxable, but if you invest in FDs, that is taxed at your applicable tax slab, whatever bracket you fall in. If you talk about equity investments, the mutual fund investments, so that also is taxed at the rate of 10%, right? 10% long-term capital gain is there on the investments. And if you talk about debt investments, short-term is taxed at your applicable slab, and even long-term investments are taxed at 20% capital gain. So they are taxed. They are all taxed investments.
Okay.
Tax is a part of our life. You can't escape that.
Right. Ma'am, one student wants to take a career advice. She wanted to confirm that can she do CFA certification after her MBA Finance? or can she do it simultaneously? Which is the best option?
See, I am not equipped enough to answer that question well, but I think you can do that. There's no age limit for that. So once you complete your MBA, you can go it for a CFA certification. That would be like an add-on.
Okay. Ma'am, one student wants to ask that what is the investment philosophy or the approach?
I told you the investment philosophy is pretty simple. Start early and keep saving regularly in your life. Be disciplined. That's the
Okay.
investment philosophy.
So we have to follow that golden rule.
Yes, yes, yes. So irrespective, wherever you want to save, I'm not here to say that, start your investing in an equity market or in the stock markets, or so whatever is comfortable for you, whatever you understand. So my main thing is to create awareness. So don't just blindly invest because your friend is investing in that. Understand the product, see that product, understand the, repercussions of that, and then invest.
Right. Ma'am, as Vanna ma'am said, and you also said that risk and return, they go parallel with each other. So higher the risk, higher the return. So
Absolutely.
as an investor, how can we assess that whether we are risk averse, neutral, or seeker?
So we have various tools available on my website also. If you go on my website, womentalkmoney.in, so they are called asset allocation tools. So there is a questionnaire there. So once you do up that questionnaire, it will throw up your risk profile. So once you know that what kind of a risk profile you have, accordingly you need to invest in that particular products. But ideally, just as a generic piece of advice, if you are invested in the market for a longer horizon, like, 5 or 7 years plus, so then there are very minimal chances that your investments can go negative.
Okay. Because generally it is being said that if you'll invest it for a longer period of time, you'll be able to earn higher returns.
Yes, yes, yes. So shorter term equity market is not for shorter term. So anybody who wants to invest for an year or, maybe a lesser than that, then this probably, investment is not the right piece of investment for you, this product.
Okay. Ma'am, Shilpi ma'am wants to ask, can you give some knowledge about liquid funds?
So liquid funds, as I told you, as the name suggests, it offers absolute liquidity. So, even if you want to invest for a day, so a lot of large corporates invest in the liquid funds for a day because they're called overnight funds. So there are different kind of liquid funds which have maturities ranging from 1 day, then to probably, less than 90 days, 180 days, and 360 days. So even if you want to park the money for a shorter span of time, for 1 month or 2 months. So because if you invest in FD, then there is obviously a penalty attached to it. So from that perspective, liquid funds are always better. They offer you complete flexibility. So you put the money in a liquid fund, you need the funds for any emergency, they are credited to your account in 24 hours. So that's the kind of flexibility that liquid fund offers.
Okay. Ma'am, I think the student is again and again asking that how can we open a demat account and from where can we get the knowledge of stock market?
So there are a lot of online portals available. So I would say that before investing, you're trying your hands on the stock market, be completely aware of the risks that are inherent to this stock market. Avoid being a direct trader into the stock market. So even if you want to start your financial journey, invest through a mutual fund route because the investments are diversified there. So there are a lot of portals like, moneycontrol.com. You can subscribe to ET Wealth. It offers you excellent, introduction on the various products that are available. So there are a lot of online portals where you can go and just get the information on that, and then you can open a broking account with Zerodha. It's offering you almost a free demat account. There are no charges, or HDFC Securities or ICICI Direct. So there are a lot of portals where you can open a demat account.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Students are really happy. But they have so many questions and they are so much interested in investing. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much. And I've shared my mail ID with you. I'll be more than happy to answer your queries. Even if you want to drop me an email, I'll be more than happy to answer all of your queries.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you, Soumya, for giving me this platform too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to hand over to Vandana, ma'am.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks, Soumya. And what a wonderful session, Kriti. Quite an eye opener for many of the first time investors.
Yes.
And thanks, Mr. Saxena, for being around. Though we couldn't give you a chance to speak because it's Women's Day empowerment session, So, but wonderful. And the students have a lot of queries, as Soumya can see it in the chat box. It'll be really a pleasure if you could answer them, by mail later
I
on.
will do
Soumya, we
that,
can
surely.
share. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Also, you've shared your email ID and your website. So we shall visit your website definitely too. And
I'll be more than happy if even a small percentage of people, they start their financial journey. I think my mission is achieved then.
that's wonderful, and that's coming from Lakshmi today. So everybody start investing in Lakshmi today itself. And as they say that money can give us the power to make a difference in our lives as well as in others' lives, but
True.
not really a desire to do so. Sometimes money can give us the time to develop and nurture our relationships also, but again, not the desire to do so. So we need to keep a balance of both as well. Sometimes money can make us selfish, sometimes it can make us lonely. So I feel that there are two questions, and I was reading about it. There are two questions we need to ask ourselves: is how much do we need? Because there is never a limit, and we keep seeing that meme of Ambani praying in front of Ganesha ji and asking Bhagwan ji, aur kuch
How much
chahiye?
more do you need now?
Yeah. So the first question I think is, how much do you need? And I think the second, at what cost are you going to get that money, get and save that money as well? And if these two questions, if they are answered by everybody, then I think we get the true sense of money's relationship with happiness. Because we cannot earn and save money at the cost of our relationships, at the cost of our happiness, integrity, at the cost of our joy, at the cost of our fun quotient. So
We should not.
definitely, yes.
Yeah.
So we need to align our money with our values and with our happiness quotient as well. But again, I would like to end with this, a sentence which I first heard in the Forbes. I read in the Forbes magazine, and then it is very common. It said, always remember that money is not everything in life, but make sure that you have earned sufficient amount before talking such nonsense. So not necessarily that, we keep preaching that monies are everything, and, but definitely
It's an important aspect of our life. Yeah.
Yes.
So, just to share with the students and your faculty as well, there are a lot of financial calculators available on my website that, coming to the point that how much is adequate as a retirement corpus, how much should we keep aside for kids' education. So there are a lot of inbuilt financial calculators there which will help you ascertain the amount. In case you don't want to reach out to a financial advisor, go to my website, which is womentalkmoney.in. You can put in just plug in the figures and the amount will be displayed there, so that you get to know actually that then you can do the goal-based planning. So
definitely we're all going to do that, and more so for people closer to retirement like myself.
Right,
Thanks so
Vandana.
much.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful
It was
session, and see you again.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Soumya. Thanks, Neha, for coordinating.